And we're here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hidden Gems of the Law Library with my fabulous coworker, Lisa Foster, and myself. Going to get started in a few minutes as people are coming in. Looks like we have some people coming in now, so everything's working, which is always exciting.
This is glad to see so many of you joining us today. We weren't sure. We knew we wanted to do this because we get excited talking about our legal research resources, but we weren't sure if anyone would show up. So I'm so happy to see we have some good attendance today.
We're not alone in our nerdiness, Lisa. Other people care.
And yes, we are nerds. We love talking about the resources. We love doing legal research and helping people with legal research. So that made us very excited about doing this presentation today.
It's a lot of shameless self-promotion of the law library, which I think is always a good thing.
I agree. So as we're waiting for people to get on, I will do my usual housekeeping that I do at the beginning of these webinars, which is just to remind everybody that we are offering CLE credit today for those of you who would like to have it, and those certificates will go out this afternoon. I should mention that is not an automated process. I do actually have to download the attendance reports from Eventbrite and Zoom and send out an email with a BCC list that I compile from those reports. So they will go out this afternoon, but maybe not immediately after the webinar is over. Another thing, we do have a short survey we always like to ask you to take. You should see a link when you leave this session today. So thank you in advance if you take a minute or two to take our survey and give us some feedback. One of the things that we're considering doing is maybe doing a part 2 of this presentation. So definitely let us know if that's something you'd like to see, because there were so many more resources we could have talked about today than what we were able to fit into an hour. We had to really make kind of a short list.
Of course. Yeah. Spoiler alert, the best hidden gem of the law library is your wonderful librarian sitting behind the iDesk. So if you do come on down to visit, be sure to say hi and pick our brains.
That's right. We're both coming to you from our home offices today, but we do work at the library downtown. And so definitely, especially if you're interested in anything we talk about today, come down to the library and see us, or contact our reference desk, because we always have other wonderful librarians that are manning the reference desk every day and answering phone calls and emails. So many ways to get help from the library and to access the resources that we're going to be talking about today. So I think just about everybody is probably here, and we can go ahead and get started. So again, just to introduce ourselves, I'm Lisa Foster, and with me is Havilah Steinman Bakken. We're both reference librarians at San Diego Law Library. We love what we do. We love legal research and helping people with their legal research. And so it is so rewarding to help people find the answers they're looking for. And we love the resources that give us the tools to do that. And there are some that really stand out to us when we're doing our work with patrons that just over and over come through, help people find what they're looking for, that are user-friendly, that are suitable for non-attorneys and attorneys alike. And so we really, we love to promote those resources. And hopefully what we talk about today will, help you learn about some tools that might help you with your legal research. And again, we had to just fit a few into an hour time frame. So there are many, many others we could have talked about.
Yes. Just as an aside, as we jump into this presentation, the Law Library, our downtown branch off Front Street, is open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 3 p.m. We are still circulating at both of our branches, the downtown as well as North County in Vista. And we love our virtual services, so those aren't going away. If you want a law librarian to video chat or call you on the phone, we're happy to do that. And we're also able to have some databases open remotely to the public. And if there's something you need access to, please don't hesitate to reach out to us via phone or email, and we can make that happen for you. And we hope that this presentation will be interactive today. We have disabled the chat as we do in most of our webinars, but if you have questions, comments, shout outs, go ahead and put those in the Q&A, because we will see those and we'll be reading those out. All right. Lisa, do we have any guesses about what we're going to talk about today?
Well, I think we've put some spoilers out there already, because you did get a handout by email a few minutes before the webinar. We were hoping you wouldn't look at it so that these things that we talk about today might come as a surprise. But we were just curious if anyone had any thoughts, what you think might have been on the hidden gems list, or something that you really like to use that's a library resource or another legal research resource that you think maybe other people don't know about or might be a hidden gem.
All right. Well, I see a question or a guess already. LexisNexis and CEB law ? Well, all cannot be revealed. And the awesome librarians, of course.
Oh, Google
Ooh.
Scholar, yeah.
Could do a whole class on that.
Too.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's an awesome suggestion. It will remain to be seen what we're going to talk about today. We're going to keep you on the edge of your seats, but I really like that suggestion. And yeah, Google Scholar, really interesting free website that's pretty, has a lot of functionality.
Absolutely.
Nice. Okay, good guesses.
Right.
So Lexis and CEB, are those hidden? I don't know.
Well,
maybe for some.
Maybe for some. And there are many ways to access Lexis published materials now with our ebook database. So that is a hidden gem for some people.
Oh, yeah, definitely so. Yeah, the Lexis titles available in the digital library. That is a unique benefit for our borrowers, but definitely some people might not know about that. So, yeah.
All
Interesting
right.
guesses.
Well,
all right.
I'll keep it moving then and reveal our very first resource is, of course, the brand new California Courts website. So this is a resource that we utilize at the desk a lot, but of course, this is from the San Diego Superior Court. So I'm just going to take you through what it was like as librarians the first time opening this up and seeing a completely different website on a Monday morning.
I think this version just landed this week.
Yes, it was, I think, on Monday at least, or last Friday. One of the biggest things that I use regularly for patrons that call is show them how to access their register of actions through the court records button. So that's not available for all case types, but I really like the new accessing court case files page because it breaks it out by type. You can clearly see civil, probate, and small claims, as well as the family register of actions. So what you would do is you'd click in here and put in your party name or case number, and it shows you all of the filings for everything that's been filed in that particular case. And that can really be a game changer for a pro per who's not quite aware of what's even going on in their particular action. And of course, you can order your case filings or make an appointment to view a file in person. They talk about those processes as well, talking about how to locate the court file depending on what section of the court it's in, and then sealing records, then them destroying files and file purging. That is something that comes up quite a bit. We have patrons that come in that want to seal their filings before they file at Superior Court. So this will go over that. It's a handy little tutorial. So that's the main ones on that main button. It looks like someone said the sitemap is useful too. So that's really cool. The next one I want to talk about is appearing for hearings. And this is something that completely changed last year when San Diego County went into shutdown. And things have continued to be carried over from that time. So we, of course, still have the ability to appear in person. But for a lot of divisions, you can appear remotely. And that requires a little bit of tech savvy, depending on what platform they're using. And it goes through each one, again, depending on the division. So I find this little handy section to be very helpful. And then they also have resources for the particular software you're going to be using. They have tutorial videos that they've put together themselves, as well as you could print out instructions to have in front of you if you're real nervous. It talks about joining a hearing. And they mentioned that you can join most hearings and listen to them. And they're most of the ones I've accessed have been YouTube Live, and you can practice being there if that would make you any more comfortable prior to your hearing. And this whole page goes through screenshots of all of the steps and exactly what will happen, as well as the safety involved in a virtual hearing and other technology tips. So this is a handy guide that we bring to our patrons quite a bit of the time. I'm just
I'm
gonna,
really liking this new organization. I think it's pretty user friendly and definitely, yeah. The old version of the website had all the virtual hearing information, but you really had to kind of go into your type of case first and then kind of scroll around to find it. So they've really put it in a much more prominent place now.
yeah, and there's not buttons all over the place, which is always very difficult on the first landing page. It's here, it's very clear and well organized.
Yeah.
This stuff is pretty self-explanatory, but we actually have a lot of people who put their court fees in the library Dropbox up at Vista. So don't do that. Don't leave money in envelopes at the library. We do our best to put it in the right mailbox if we can ascertain where it was supposed to go. But the best way is actually to pay your fines or fees online on the court website. So again, very clear depending on what it is you're paying. This is where you would go. Traffic court too is really cool. This used to be completely buried. It took me like full minutes to try to show someone how to pay their ticket online. Seemingly very normal thing. And this particular button from the well-used links will take you right through there. I don't want to spend a whole much more time on this because we have other resources to get to, but the self-help section again is something the librarians use a lot. And it is organized by particular issue that you are facing. So if you're not sure what's going on, you just feel like you're facing a legal issue, you can talk to us about it and we can guide you to the right section perhaps that could help you. Small claims and traffic, of course, the big ones, but also the restraining orders are really big. And then one last little tip here. I really like that they have implemented a way to make the text bigger for people that are maybe on a smartphone or are nearsighted, farsighted. You can make it really big. And of course, right here is where you change the language for the court website. So really making it quite accessible for everyone. That concludes my little tips. Lisa, did you have anything to add for this particular?
No, I think the California courts website is similarly helpful, you know, for various types of information like self-help and forms. So that's another good one. But these are just examples of how not all the resources that are super helpful are, you know, things that you have to come to the library to find. There's a lot of free websites, especially government sites that have really good information. And we do have a page on our website that lists some, you know, a whole laundry list of free websites that we think are helpful for legal research. And Joseph, I see you have a raised hand. We really don't have a way to unmute your microphone, but if you have a comment, please feel free to put that in the Q&A and we'll take a look at that.
I actually have a question that came through. Does the translation of the court website work on other browsers? And I have not tested it. I just tend to use Chrome because it's what I'm most comfortable with. But certainly you pull open Firefox and you let us know if there's some tech issues, because with any new website, there's going to be some kinks to work out. So definitely let us know what you find out. All right. Well, thanks so much. That's my last little section. I'm going to reveal what we will next go through. Are you ready, Lisa? Drum roll.
All right. California causes of action. I feel like I show this to someone almost every day I work in the library, and it's really a wonderful resource. It is really suitable for both attorneys and non-attorneys alike, and just has so much good information and such a succinct, you know, organization. So this is a James Publishing product. It's kind of a big white paperback book that we have in print in the library, but you can also find this in Lexis Advance. And so it includes forms, which are in the form of a CD that goes along with the book. And then you can also find the forms if you're using this title in Lexis. What do I like about California causes of action? Well, it just has so much utility. It is a broad coverage of pretty much, I think, just about every legal theory that you could file a suit under in California, really, and organized into practice areas that make it really easy to find what you're looking for in related causes of action. Each cause of action that's listed in the book includes a section on the elements of proof, the seminal authorities that relate, whether it be seminal case law or statutory authority that relate to that legal theory, the remedies, again, with authority cited, statute of limitations is always listed, all possible affirmative defenses and related causes of action that are linked to the book, and form complaints. And then if you're using the Lexis Advanced version, the authorities that are cited are hyperlinked. And if you're in causes of action and you want to look at a case or look at a statute that's cited, you can just click and go right to that resource in Lexis as well. So I think using it in Lexis is really fabulous, but people also like to browse the book in the library. And you can use this for so many things. It is especially helpful for drafting pleadings, whether you're the the plaintiff or the defendant. For conducting discovery, you can think about the organization of the elements of proof and what the issues are. For discovery, what do you need? What information do you not have to prove your side of the case? You can use this for planning evidence for trial and organizing it, preparing jury instructions, making and responding to motions, and even appellate briefs. And so it is just really this one-stop shop for information about every possible legal theory in California. And then Havilah, if you'll go on, and we'll show a few little screenshots here where you can kind of see how this is organized. So each chapter is sort of a family of related causes of action, and it is so comprehensive, really goes beyond, some of the most common theories. And again, we've opened up one here in this screenshot just to show you, a little more of a granular view. So under business torts, you have a number of different business torts, and for each one of those, you can see the organization of the information that's provided. Definition elements, authorities, remedies, statute of limitations, etc. And each one of these sections on a specific theory is just a few pages long in the book. And so if you can move to the next slide, we'll show you a little screenshot again. Really, this is a snippet of this particular section on intentional interference with prospective economic advantage, which falls under the business torts chapter. So really, in just a few pages, it's like everything you need to know about this theory. You can quickly look it over. Does it potentially apply to my case that I'm filing? What are the elements? What are the key authorities? And so on and so forth. Next slide. And, here again, really quick and easy reference to find the statute of limitations, and then a laundry list of the affirmative defenses. So yes, you could potentially, if you're researching a statute of limitations, go to another resource or even the Code of Civil Procedure and scan all those sections and try to figure out which one applies. It's right here, very easy to find in California causes of action. So I've been really sharing this with a lot of patrons in the library. I think the self-represented patrons really appreciate this resource. It is just so accessible, especially for those that maybe are working on a complaint. They don't know where to start about finding their theories or which ones might even apply to their case. They can take this really user-friendly book or go to Lexis and take a look and really start honing down, okay, this is what I need, this is what I'm going to include. And I think it's a great, great resource. So I mentioned it's available in Lexis. One thing that's nice to know is that we do have some remote access to Lexis available at the library. And so if you're interested in that or you don't know about that, feel free to contact us or the reference desk and we can tell you more about how to do that.
Yeah.
So did you have anything you wanted to add on this one, Havilah?
I completely agree, Lisa. This comes up into play all the time at the desk. And typically it's when a patron comes in and they know that they've been harmed or they've been involved in a particular issue and they want to do something about it, but they don't know how and they don't have the language. And what I really appreciate about this book is it gives them the tools and the words to say, this is what was done to me, or this is what I would like to use to pursue an action against another individual. And it's just laid out in a very user-friendly way that I think is accessible to practicing attorneys, of course, but then also the pro per group. So, and practice guides aren't always laid out in the same way. So that's just, I would say that this book has to be replaced regularly. And
maybe not so hidden, right? It's pretty well known. I think ours is pretty dog-eared right now. That's on the shelf.
But we have two copies, one that circulates and one that we try to always keep at the law library at all times in person. And I wanted to address a question that came up actually, is Lexis Advance free? And the short answer to that is no, not remotely at your house, but it's always free if you come on down to the downtown branch of San Diego Law Library. You can use it for free, the Lexis Database to access this. All of the Lexis ebooks you can access for free at the law library, as well as the print version. Now, if you wanted access to this at your home, we have been able to offer some remote access through the vendor, but all of those agreements are completely based on what's happening with the pandemic and could end at any time. So right now, yes, we could get you a trial access to Lexis in your home, but we just don't know how much longer we'll be able to offer that. But if you're interested, you can email us at refdesk@sdlawlibrary.org, and I'll go ahead and put our contact information in the chat at the end, or you can just go to our website, which is sandiegolawlibrary.org, to contact us. All right, we have another question, Lisa. Oh, this is a good one for Lisa, actually. Perhaps not mainstream, but how or where are local county legal records kept? For example, probate or divorce records from recent era versus pre-1930s. Do you have a locator?
Well, I think the short answer is the courthouse.
Mhm.
The courthouse the case was filed in. And, this is such a common question for us. One of the things we do is some chat reference that's a statewide chat service. And it seems like that's the number one question that comes up, at least in the chat reference, if not at the library itself. Lots of people looking for court records. If you know where the case was filed, you can use the Register of Actions or, the court records, search function on that court website, wherever it is in California. It could be LA Superior, it could be San Diego Superior. But especially the farther back the cases go, they're probably only available in print at the court, and you're probably going to need to contact the court about how and in what manner you would access those records. The more recent ones are going to be available digitally. Often there's a charge. I was searching LA Superior Court for a case for a patron recently, and you can't even search without putting a credit card in now there. So some of the courts are even charging online to do a search. As far as I know, you can walk up to the counter in the business office at most of the courts and ask to see a file, and you can view it for free if you don't want copies.
And Lisa actually taught a whole class on how to do public records requests that's available on our YouTube channel. And it's just a really fascinating issue on how they're kept and how they're stored and where to go get them. So if that's something that really interests you, it's a great class to view on our YouTube channel. She taught that last year for us.
Yeah, just be aware, it really doesn't cover court records. They're a whole different animal that aren't covered by Public Records Act and Freedom of Information Act. So just be aware of that. But they are public records for sure.
We had another question. Is California causes of action available on Westlaw? And so it's a Lexis, it's a Lexis product. But is there a comparable resource on Westlaw, Lisa, that you would think? Or is that later on in the presentation?
There probably is again, but probably not in the same format. And I really like the format of this. I mean, you have some civil procedure before trial practice guides available in CEV, Westlaw. That would be the Rudder Group in Westlaw. And Lexis also, they all have such practice guides, on that general civil procedure, federal civil procedure before trial, as well as a Rudder Group title. I don't think they're quite as accessible as this title. They're much more, much less user friendly, I guess is what I would say, especially for non-attorneys.
Well, thank you, Lisa. And I do see some participants raising your hand. Thank you for participating. If you have any questions or like to interact with us, the Q&A, which appears as those two little thought bubbles on the bottom of your screen. If you tap that, you can ask us some questions. Can't interact with the raised hand feature, unfortunately. All right. Well, I think we're ready to reveal our next gem. Are we ready?
Yep.
So exciting.
All right, model interrogatories. So this is another James Publishing product along with the California Causes of Action. And you can find this again, just like California Causes of Action. It is in our reading room at San Diego Law Library. And gosh, there's just so many things I like about this. One thing I don't like is the title. I think there's more to it than just model interrogatories, but it is a really, really interesting title. And one of the reasons I decided to talk about this is that I have done reference with several patrons lately looking for pattern discovery. So their patrons, it's typically been attorneys, but it could be either attorneys or non-attorneys, need to propound discovery and they really don't know where to start. They're looking for examples, models for their type of case. What kind of questions, how to word them, what are all the possible questions? And it's hard to find good pattern discovery. That's my takeaway from trying to help some patrons lately. It's really limited to find pattern discovery, especially if it's not on some really common types of cases. Like if you're doing a motor vehicle accident case, you can find pattern discovery. Other types of cases, intellectual property, contracts, non-tort, type of cases, it can be really hard to find pattern discovery. This book is a very comprehensive set of model interrogatories and deposition checklists for many, many types of cases. As you can see here, the description is It includes 5,000 separate pattern interrogatories that cover 30 topics. And they really kind of even go beyond just the California state law theories. You have things like intellectual property and employment discrimination that are potentially useful for federal cases as well. And there are just so many topic areas covered by this resource. Yeah, so again, hard to find pattern discovery. It's available on Westlaw for just a handful of topics. I think it's mainly torts like premises liability, product liability, and motor vehicle. But again, to find pattern discovery for some of these other theories is really hard. So this one is really helpful. Next slide. So again, just wanted to show you, this is where you can find it on the shelf. It'll be where you find other discovery materials in the reading room at San Diego Law Library. And I didn't mention this, but it is currently only available in print. So one of the downsides of this one, we are considering adding this title to our Lexis Digital Library, our San Diego Digital Law Library. So maybe stay tuned for news about that, because we have been asking to try to make this available in an electronic format. So again, it has explanatory text, authorities, interrogatories, of course, deposition checklists. You can use this to draft discovery, especially for topics that you're not going to find in your standard court form interrogatories, or the kind of pattern discovery you find in some other resources. And the questions are drafted in a really narrow and precise manner, which most of you probably know is really important to avoid objections to your discovery. So next slide. And again, just kind of a snapshot of how it is organized. You can really see just from this one chapter on wrongful termination of employment, one of the many chapters in this 2-volume set. It really breaks down these sample questions element by element, issue by issue. And you can see it gets down to really detailed information. So next slide. And then when you actually get into the sample questions, again, you can see here really quickly just how detailed these questions are and how specific. And one thing I also want to point out here is if you look at the top of the page, you'll see there's some sample questions listed on this page that are specifically meant for defendant to plaintiff. So another thing I like about this resource is it actually has model questions that are for plaintiff to defendant and defendant to plaintiff. It helps both sides of the case. And again, it's not just a checklist of issues, it's actually specifically thoughtfully drafted questions that you can just grab and use. So again, I wanted to show another section. It is the deposition checklist, another really great tool in this resource. It's very detailed. Again, it covers so many different types of cases and causes of action that chances are whatever you're working on, you can find material in this book that will help you with your discovery for that case. And again, just like California causes of action, I think this is so accessible and user-friendly that it would be good for both self-represented and attorneys. Anything you wanted to add on this one, Havilah?
I would just like to share a little story about how we identified this actually as a hidden gem. The library had just closed. It was April 2020, and I had a patron who needed some model interrogatory resources. And I remember calling Lisa, being so frazzled, a brand new librarian at my house. Lisa, where is this? How do I find it? And what we came to realize is, yes, we have some available electronically, but we were really relying on this print resource to be there. And the librarian would never face a time when even the librarians wouldn't have access to the title. So I'm just glad that, those moments can be teachable, and that we can point to this now and say, this is something that you can come to the library and check out. And we are open, and it's great to be in that time again. But it also shows us, okay, these are things that maybe in the future need to be more available electronically. So
one thing that came up, one thing that came up during doing virtual reference, where we were trying to figure out from outside the library in some cases, is a print resource that's at the library helpful for a particular question? One thing I figured out is sometimes you can just Google these titles online and the publisher will have their full table of contents on their website. Of course, you can't access the resource itself, but you can even see, is my topic covered, by looking at the publisher's website where they have the full table of contents for the book. So that was one little helpful tip that I've figured out trying to do reference from home. So we may
Absolutely.
know whether or not a book that's at the library would help somebody. And if so, then we were able at that time to help them with the virtual, or I'm sorry, the pickup circulation.
Absolutely. So again, as a reminder, our books do circulate. We just charge a borrower's fee, but for $50 a year, you have access to our entire collection to bring home. And I think it's a game changer for any practitioner. We have some shout outs in the comments. I just want to read out from Miss Lisa. Someone agreeing with you. The Westlaw title, similar to Cause of Action, is California Elements of Action, but not quite as user friendly. Definitely. And then we have California Causes of Action is a great resource. Thank you for explaining it to us. So bravo, Lisa. And then very much enjoying model interrogatories as well.
Great.
All right. Are we
and
ready?
Back to the pickup circulation, it's probably worth mentioning we're doing that at the Vista branch. Our branch is not open for you, but you can check out books there if you are a North County person. So again, contact us if you're interested in that. If you don't have a borrower account already, we can help you with that. And I know for some of you coming downtown it's a big trip.
It's a haul. And yeah,
It's
we
a
are
haul.
definitely, that's one service we are able to offer out of Vista, and we're happy to do that for our borrowers.
All right, I think we're ready to move on, and you've got the next one, Havilah.
Oh, is it me? Okay.
It's you.
Oh, I don't know. Opposing California civil motions.
It isn't you, it's me. You're the next one. Okay. All right. I just cannot do this presentation today without mentioning one of my favorites. Again, just something that time and time again I've helped patrons with this, and I would call this one the jaw dropper. When I show this to patrons, and I'm working with patrons, I literally get a jaw drop at what is available in this title for patrons who specifically come into the library, and what they need to do is respond to emotion. And again, this can be attorney, non-attorney, anyone who is in litigation, who gets served with a motion of any type, comes into the library looking for resources for drafting their response. And this is absolutely the go-to for that. Why is it a hidden gem? You can probably see here from my slide, it's a Rudder Group title. Well, everybody knows about the Rudder Group titles. Well, unfortunately, we don't have this one in print. And so a lot of people don't even know that we have this. It's in Westlaw, but it is really worth digging up in Westlaw or working on getting some Westlaw access. Again, we can talk to you about that. If you're interested, there still is some remote Westlaw access available. We can't guarantee how much longer, but right now there is. Or you can always come into the library and use Westlaw. And this title is fabulous. If you are opposing a motion, it gives you a brief that is so detailed, so fleshed out, and it covers so many different type of motions that, again, I think you'll really be amazed at how helpful this is. And again, one thing I like about it is the focus on opposing briefs, because lots of our resources and practice guides have templates for drafting motions. If you're the moving party, I think a lot of those titles, from my experience, are very weighted toward the moving party. And you may have in some of those resources like a single, very skeletal template for responding, but you're not going to have the kind of things you find in this title for drafting an opposition. And here you can see the table of contents from Westlaw and the broad variety of motions that this covers. But be aware, each one of these chapters has a drop-down menu, and many, many other specific types of motions are included. So if you could go to the next slide. And real quickly before I go on, so you're in Westlaw, how do you find this? Two ways. You can browse to it. You can go to California Secondary Sources and open up the list of California secondary sources and find this title. Or you can just start from home page without doing any filtering, typing the title if you know the exact title, Opposing California Civil. And I think I only got to like the C in civil this morning, pulling this up, and you get a drop-down menu suggesting a link to it. So it's really easy to pull it up if you've got the title. So here's a chapter that we've opened up your drop-down menu, and this is just for opposing pleadings motions. Again, there's many other chapters, and you can see the great detail, of types of responses that are covered here. There's many, many different kind of issues that can come up with pleadings, demur, motion to strike. So for all of these different categories, you're going to get a really detailed sample opposition brief. So next slide. So I've given you a snippet here of just that very first one from the previous slide, just the general opposition to demur. And some of the things I like about this, take a look at the detail, the authority that's cited. It's not just a framework or an outline, it's the actual argument drafted for you in great detail with the authority. And this brief will cover multiple issues. So that's another thing I like. For most opposing briefs, you're going to argue maybe some alternative arguments, or there's more than one issue. You can find them all in these sample briefs, all in one sample. You know, we have other resources like California Points and Authorities that have some similar information, but you really have to piece things together because they don't put it all together in one sample brief for you. So again, you can see at the bottom, you have some italicized language that's prompting you where it would be appropriate to weave in some of your specific facts from your case to back up the argument that's provided. I wish I could show you the whole brief. It's really hard to do, you know, in a screenshot or in a PowerPoint here. But if you looked at this in Westlaw, this particular opposition brief is multiple pages long with lots of detail. So this is, again, I call it a jaw dropper. When I have a patron who needs an opposition motion, they look at this and it's like, it's done for me. I can't believe this. You know, look at this sample. So one thing to know, I love this so much that I have begged and pleaded for the library to try to obtain a print copy. And I think, again, it's very user-friendly in the database, of course, but it would be nice to have a print copy on the shelf. Some people would prefer to browse a print copy. And then also, I think it would just raise the profile of this title so more people would be aware that we have it. So what do you think?
I completely agree, Lisa. One thing that I think this research shows is that civil matters are incredibly complex. And when a patron comes in with a civil question, this is, you know, very similar to the causes of action book, where it gives you at least a framework to start with and to start searching for something that could have at some point help the patron. And so when this was shown to me when I was training, it was a jaw dropping, like, this is incredible. And I completely agree that it does get overlooked and even forgotten by me at the desk, because your natural inclination is to walk them over to the section. And if the book is not sitting there on the shelf, it's not going to register necessarily for the patron or for the librarian. So it's just trying to navigate that and building our collection and thinking, what is more useful electronically? What is more useful in print? And, you know, of course, we'd like to be able to offer both, but, and, you know, there's budget constraints that we're always up against at the library. So that's just my comments about the Opposing California Civil Motion. I think it's incredible. It's a great resource. And before we move on, I do have another note from one of my other coworkers who's in the audience. Thank you, Cheryl. We mentioned before that we are circulating out of Vista, but I should also mention that that collection, we have suspended paying for updates for our practice guide subscriptions. And what that means is our loose leaf guides, every period, there's an update that comes through and the library pays for that. And during the pandemic, we couldn't. So when you are checking books out from the Vista branch, just be aware, call us, talk to us about the resource you're wanting to check out, and we can advise you if it's the most recent update or if there's a more updated version available online, perhaps, or if coming downtown is really the better option. But again, just another moment to remember, if you love the law library and you want us to keep serving, you call your local representative and you tell them how much you love your law library. I think this month is National Get a Library Card Month. So it's a great time to remember. Advocate for your library. I'll get off my soapbox now. Okay.
All right, you got the next one.
All right. I'm sorry, I have to adjust my screen a tiny bit. Verdict search database. This is another jaw dropper, at least for me. A lot of times patron will come in and say, what is my case worth? Is it even worth pursuing? And verdict search is an excellent place to start finding that out. Now, it is a selected coverage, meaning attorneys will choose whether or not to report their results. So it's by no means exhaustive. It just more gives you a snapshot or a picture of what could happen with a specific case in a particular jurisdiction. But patrons really enjoy that it's filterable by location, date, and case type. For certain injury types, like for spine injuries, you could get down to the certain vertebrae. I think that's the right term for the bone. It's crazy how detailed this database is. And it is available only at the law library. You would just come in and let us know at the desk that you'd like to access verdict search, and a librarian would walk you over to a computer terminal and log you in. So that's how we're able to offer access. And we're going to do a little demo today. This is very exciting. This is how verdict search would appear if you were logged in at one of the library terminals. And it's just, main purpose is, of course, the valuation of cases. And for example, I'm going to start a customized search right here. And I'm just going to show you all the different ways you can filter, but keep your eye on this little red box right here. It's really intriguing what it's able to do.
And Havilah, if people have thumbnails that are covering that box, just so you know, you can drag the thumbnails so that you can see the red
Yes.
box that Havilah is talking about, because I do think that's one of the good features of this database.
If you hover your cursor over the top of our faces, there should be a button that lets you just close it out entirely. So you would just see the whole screen share. But be sure to put comments in the Q&A if you need assistance with that. So the first thing I'll do is I'm just going to filter for California, and then I'm going to go over to San Diego County, just because, we like learning about ourselves. And you can see with California, oh, that's 32,000 documents. Okay, that's going to be a broad search. And you're going to watch as this gets more and more narrow. So just filtering to San Diego County, that brought it down to 2,400. And when you're searching, depending on what you're doing, you may want quite a bit of results if you're trying to get an average median, or you might not want that many to filter through. You may want more like 20 or 30. For a type of injury, I'm going to show you the back injury. It's really crazy. Bulging disc, doesn't that sound really fun? Let's try that. For I can't even say that word, Lisa.
Thoracic?
Thoracic? Isn't that a type of dinosaur? Or like a type of time period in the dinosaur? We digress. I don't know. Type of case 2, this is really cool. You can see now that I have chosen a specific type of injury. The type of cases are actually grayed out because not all of these relate anymore. So it's a very intuitive database, whereas if I think you were using Lexis or Westlaw, it wouldn't automatically do this for you. So one of the main ones that you can still filter for is motor vehicle. But I'm not going to, because I picked such a specific injury that it just gave me one document. So let's see what that looks like. This doesn't give us a great data for an average, what this case is worth, because it's just the one that verdict search has, but it does give you that value. And I'm going to click right into the case results themselves. You can see the summaries right here, and it gives all the details on the parties, the facts of the case, and then goes into even more detail of the type of injury, which can be very helpful. And then not only the amount that was awarded, but then for each specific type of award, and what the jury was made up of, and then who reported it. So this can be helpful for evaluating your case, of course. I've also had patrons use it for researching experts. When they get a list of experts to choose from, they want to know, okay, but what if they said before? And they've been able to type in their name. It should be right here, expert name. And then it'll give you some documents about that. And I think, was there anything else, Lisa, that I should bring up about verdict search?
Well, there are other ways to search for verdicts. Like I know we have a verdicts and settlement section in Westlaw that you can use. But again, I just think this interface is so unique and it's so user-friendly. And again, the level of detail that you can get to, sometimes again, like in your example, maybe it's almost too much. You can back away from that detail, if you see in your little counter of results there that you're not getting very much. But it just makes it really easy to formulate a search, see how many documents potentially are going to come up if you hit search. And then you can, really read those detailed reports. And so I think, it's a very unique database. It's really good for valuing cases. I think of this as like it's the comps in real estate. If you're looking for comps for your case in litigation, these are the comps. And even if it isn't comprehensive, if it isn't every bulging disc case in San Diego County, it gives you maybe an idea or a range of what some of the values have been for verdicts and settlements, and also an ability to search for judges or experts and to see what cases they've been involved in. So I think it is a great resource. And again, unfortunately, there's no remote access to this. We have helped some patrons virtually, though, by getting their details that they wanted to search, running the searches for them with our own access, and then sending them some reports. So if you're someone who absolutely cannot get into the library, we can work with you on this.
Absolutely. And if you are here at the library and logged in on one of our computer terminals, you have the ability to email your search results as well as specific cases to your email directly from the database. So that's another option too. If you want to come down but don't have a ton of time to spend at the law library, you can just email everything over to yourself. So that is verdict search, a hidden gem. I think the next one is mine too. Let's see. Oh yes, Gale Forms. I use this in my own life, in IRL, in real life, all the time. It's a robust database of legal forms on multiple topics that are fillable, which is really cool. They include forms drafted by attorneys for legal issues, forms for public records, and participating companies and attorneys. And we have this subscription at the law library. You can come in and use it for free, but also if you are a borrower or benefit holder with us, you have remote access included in that. So if you're already a borrower and benefit holder and don't know how to get in remotely, just let us know, give us a call, shoot us an email, and we can get you in remotely. So we're gonna do a little demo of this database as well. This is what you'll see once you're logged in to the Gale Legal Forms section. And what Lisa actually discovered working with a patron this week was the really cool California specific forms that they have specifically for non-disclosure agreements, which can be a very sticky topic. So I'm going to I went into the main search box right here and I'm going to type non-disclosure agreement. No pressure. Don't misspell anything. Oh, it already happened. Sorry, guys. Non-disclosure agreement. Did I? That looks right. Nope. Okay. So bear with me, everyone. This is behind the scenes at the law library. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing for a minute so I can put the password in. Sorry, I can't share that with everybody. If you are
Only
a borrower,
borrowers. But if you're looking at this and say, I want this, then maybe you need to become a borrower.
Yeah. And just as an aside, I've used this actually to draft my will for my husband and I. I used one of their forms and I was able to fill it out and got 2 witnesses and it was done in like a weekend. I was shocked. It was so easy. And they have ones that are like specifically for my situation, which was married, no kids, no property. So it's really cool. And I feel like prepared for the future just with this particular resource. All right. So we've logged in again. I'm going to have to spell non-disclosure agreement. Closure.
You're missing a diss there.
I try not to diss anyone, Lisa. I try. Sometimes it happens anyway. All right. We successfully made it in non-disclosure. So you can see we're in the Legal Forms library and then California Legal Forms, which is what we pay for at the law library. And so immediately we know that this is specific to our state. And what happens with Westlaw and Lexis, you kind of get caught in the weeds a little bit because it's real general. And that's not necessarily a problem unless what you need is specific. And then you don't want to weed through all this stuff. So this breaks it out really easily for you, depending on the situation and what type of non-disclosure agreement. I thought this one was really cool, seemingly random, but apparently important enough that they needed a specific non-disclosure agreement between the author of a film script and a potential translator. I'm like, there's tons of stuff in here. And it's not that hard to filter down your results if it does give you too many. So that's one. I'm going to go and click into one and show you. It just gives you a little description. And then you can also view a preview of it. So it's going to show you the language before you even download the file, because that can be really annoying too. You're downloading these giant multiple page files to your computer and then you get into it and it's not the right thing. So I really appreciate that. And again, these are fillable. So I was able to download this MS Word document and just type in my information really quickly. So great resource. I think that's the main stuff with this database, Lisa. Was there anything else that I should have shown?
Well, I think you touched on this already, but I think this helps you cut through the noise because it is supposed to be California specific. And again, I ran that non-disclosure agreement search in Westlaw, Lexis, and Gale. And I found things in all 3 places that were helpful for this patron who actually was working in a situation where the issue was they had an invention and they wanted to work with a professional related to some aspect of, creating and marketing an invention and needed a non-disclosure agreement. Well, what amazed me is when I saw those results in Gale, they were broken down by those very specific subtopics. And one of them was for inventions, and there were several different options. And so you don't get that kind of organization in your results with the other databases, although they do definitely have agreements as well. So I like the way that the results load and they're so easy to sort through by topic, subtopic. But another thing that you'll see, I think you can see at the very bottom of the page there on the left is sample letters. I think this is a really good source of sample letters on many, many different topics. And so you can search, you can browse, you can see here on the side of the page, the sample letters are organized by topic there. If you just go into the general sample letters link on the homepage, really good for that. And I don't know of a lot of resources that include that. I know there are some in the NOLA books. If you're using the NOLA books, like for evictions, they will have different sample letters, you know, like on topics like that. But again, I think this is just really just a great database for forms and letters, super easy to search, super accessible for attorneys and non-attorneys. And I will add, there's been a few times I've been doing reference in the library, and one time that comes to mind, I was working with Gina, who I think is here with us today. Hello. You might remember Gina, we were trying to help a lady with a question that seemed like it should be easy thing to find, which is she wanted a sample letter for revoking a revocable trust. So of course we rushed to the practice guides on the shelf. We were pouring through all the trust related practice guides, and we could not find anything on that topic. And it, almost as an afterthought, I went to Gale and popped in a search, and it was there just like that. So, you know, again, there's just been several times I've had that experience where I couldn't find things in a practice guide, and it was right there in Gale in front of my face. So I really like that one. And I think, again, it may be, you know, it's a lesser known database out of our databases, but especially if you're a borrower and you're not using this, you need to get using this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing that tidbit. We have a few comments in the Q&A, which is cool. We have maybe an honorable mention for PACER, the federal judiciary's electronic database of all federal court filings, not just decisions and opinions. I think the library used to do PACER. Isn't that right, Lisa? Yeah.
You know, I think we used to have a PACER account, but honestly, it didn't provide free access. So I think it was confusing for patrons, and I think they decided to stop having that as a database at the library. You know, anyone can go online and create a PACER account, but it requires a credit card. It is not free. That's the main thing. I've used PACER. It's fantastic. You can really find, you know, a lot of filings and documents, especially for federal cases in PACER. I mainly, you know, used it when I was an academic librarian. We had free access, you know, through the academic library. But again, if anyone's looking for filings and dockets for federal cases, and you're willing to put a credit card in and create an account, it is a really fantastic resource.
Yes. And another comment from Gina, our boss. Thank you, Gina. Thank you for being here. We had it, but it was so popular, we could not budget for it. So we had to get rid of free access. That absolutely.
That's right. That refreshes my memory now. From talking to people from when we had that. Patrons were running up big bills.
So again, tell your local representatives.
We need PACER. Well, I know there's a movement afoot in the legal community to make court records more available for free. And that would, you know, I know that includes PACER. So there's a lot of folks that feel those records should be available for free and are working on advocacy. So, you know, stay tuned. Maybe things will be changing.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. And I have another question. How does one apply to be a law library borrower? And the easy answer to that is you can just call us and we can send over the application. You can come in and we can handle that for you. So it's email, over the phone, in person at the branch. It's really flexible now. We've been able to offer that. Used to be so much more complicated. I really like our new system. So yeah, it's just a matter of filling out the paperwork, showing us your driver's license and payment. You're good to go. And we're actually running a special for new borrowers. If you have never been a borrower with us before, you can get half off for the rest of the year. So your $50 level member borrowership, which is one book and one renewal at a time of physical books, would be $25, which is just, it's so attainable. And we have our second level, which is half of $75. And I'm not going to attempt that right now because I'm a librarian. Figure it out. But it would be half of that. And that's $5.
And we do have the borrower application is available on our website. Yes, if you look under services and borrowing and benefits, you'll find it there. Yeah. You can get that process started and send that into us and we'll get you going.
And what's cool is both of those levels, regardless of what you decide, include the ebook access. And that's 3 ebooks at a time for a week at a time. And those all the Lexis published practice guides and codes. So those really great resource. All right. Well, thank you so much for being so interactive in the chat. We only have about 5 minutes left. So I can show you our honorable mentions. we actually got an award for our COVID-19 legal issues pages over the summer, and that's been very exciting. That's still up on our website. And that's just a bunch of topics broken out depending on what you're facing regarding the pandemic. We also have fantastic guides on our website, and these are research and motion guides depending on what you're researching. And then our YouTube channel has just become this depository of incredible self-study MCLE for one, and recordings of our community classes. We have librarians making little tutorials, how to use pleading paper. It's just a whole host of things. So we're happy to take questions the next 5 minutes. Lisa, what do you think? Should I do a screen share of one of these things, or?
You could, and I also wanted to mention, we didn't put the URLs here in our slideshow, but you should have gotten a handout that looks like this. It's just a one-pager. Whoops. I don't think my camera likes this. But it's just a short one-page list of what we talked about today, and it does include the links for all of these parts of our website. Yes, we wanted to talk about a few of our homegrown resources because we are very proud of them. We worked very hard on them, especially when the library was closed during the pandemic. Last year, we really worked on our research and motion guides, our YouTube channel, of course, which Havilah is the queen of the YouTube channel. She is the head of our YouTube team. If you are enjoying the content you find there, the self-study MCLE, you can thank Havilah and her team for that. They worked very hard on making that information available for free on our YouTube. And we also have some other tutorials and little videos we've created on some various topics, like how to get into your borrowing account online, and how to download the pleading paper that's available on our website. So lots of fun stuff. We have a few things in Spanish, I think, that our bilingual librarian Eddie has done for us. Also, John, our director, wanted me to mention there's a video, I believe the title of it is called Law Made Public, on our YouTube channel, that talks all about the library and what we do. And it features our friend Eddie Ramirez, is sort of the narrator for that video. We're very proud of it. And so you can see Mara Elliott here also from our board of trustees is in the thumbnail for that video, right up at the top of the page there. Yeah. So at any rate, yes, we worked really hard on that video, and we're super proud of it. Take a look at it if you're a fan of the library. But yeah, we have these resources, and we did work very hard on them. We really were focused last year on what can we make available to our patrons when the library is not open. And so we tried to put as much information out there that was free online through our website as we could. So we worked on our research and motion guides, which you can find motion templates and information on lots of different sort of curated legal topics that we feel are maybe some of the frequently asked topics at our library, or things that people are looking for the most. So right under services, you'll see guides on our website. And that's where you find these. They're alphabetical. We're always adding, improving, modifying, updating, and lots of topics: administrative mandamus, bankruptcy. This is where you find the pleading paper. It's just in alphabetical order. Family law discovery, lots of stuff. So definitely take a look at that if you haven't. And again, the COVID pages were something we wanted to create and to address issues maybe that would be of most need for our patrons during the pandemic. Many legal topics have been affected deeply by the pandemic: employment, housing, government benefits, contract, issues, consumer debt. So we have compiled curated resources on all those topics for you. And what we were really astounded by is that we worked really hard on creating this. We're very proud of it. We started realizing how many other organizations were putting a link to this on their own websites. And I think I found about 40 of them when I went searching. Other organizations, law firms, library systems, individuals, candidates for political office had our pages, linked on their websites. So the views on these have been tremendous. The analytics that we've seen, they've definitely been used and appreciated. And we won a national award from the American Association of Law Libraries, which is the picture that Havilah showed you before. This is our picture that they showed during the presentation, because of course it had to be virtual. We're so proud of those pages and the work we did, and they were nationally recognized. So a little self-promotion, sorry, but we just really wanted to bring that up and make sure we have all these resources free to you at home on our website. Definitely, if you haven't perused our website, do so and see what we have for you there. And we're going to be working on our website too. You're going to be seeing changes to it in the future. We're inspired by what the court has done.
Yes.
We want to make it more
absolutely.
user friendly. So we're hard at work on the background work for that right now.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time, and maybe if there's any questions, and here we are.
Let me see, just lots of thank yous and congratulations. So thank you everyone for attending. We're so glad that we were able to share this hour with you. I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. When it happens, don't forget to fill out that survey. We love hearing from you guys, okay? Thank you so much. Oh, yep, another happy. We have some emojis, have a trophy, some clapping hands, lots of
Thank
thank
you so
yous.
much.
You are welcome. All right, everybody. Have a great day.